The thin line between health and disease. Okan OK Uludig University Faculty of Medicine undergraduate student. When you finish reading this sentence, you will have lost thousands of cells. Those cells committed suicide to keep you healthy. So they died under physiological conditions. Moreover, they were planned to die. This is the apoptosis phenomenon we are talking about. Briefly, apoptosis is a form of cell death that is seen during the normal functioning of the organism and should continue regularly. Cells are born, they live for a certain time and then die. Life expectancy varies with cell type. For example, intestinal cells die after a 3 to 5 day lifespan, while heart muscle and nerve cells are much longer lasting. All events occur with apoptosis. From all the events we have counted to the disappearance of the frets between the fingers of the human embryo. Apoptotic cells form continuously in some tissues of the organism, and this continues for life. Thus, death and reconstruction continue in a dynamic balance in these tissues. It is calculated that normal apoptotic cell death and replacement of new cells reach about 100 billion cells per day. A cell death and reconstruction at this rate means reconstruction and destruction of the body weight of an adult person every 1.5 to 2 years. Apoptotic process starts as a result of lack of growth factors, cell aging, HIV, cancer drugs, radiation. In this process, it maintains the integrity of the cell but gradually shrinks and eventually disappears. Another fascinating feature of the apoptotic process is that the irreversible stage after the process starts is the activation of the cell's power plant, mitochondria. This shows how important energy production is for the life of the cell. It plays a role in cancer formation. When viruses invade the cell, they make their own proteins into the cell they enter and stop the production of the necessary protein for the cell itself. It is here that apoptosis begins and the cell kills itself with the philosophy of, if there is no benefit, no harm. But sometimes powerful and cunning viruses not only do the job of the cell when it enters the cell, but also confiscate all the mechanisms that enable the cell to kill itself. Here, cells that cannot go to apoptosis cause disease. Uncontrolled proliferation of cells that cannot go to apoptosis also plays a role in cancer formation. Apoptosis does not always save people from disease. Sometimes it is the cause of the disease. Nerve cells are cells that cannot reproduce anymore once they have properly established connections between them. Therefore, most of these cells live for life. However, in diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, apoptosis begins and causes nerve cells to die. Are our cells dying programmatically? So far, we have talked about apoptosis, which is a programmed and physiological death. So are all our dead cells programmatically dying? Answer is no. Because we have another form of cell death called necrosis that is different from apoptosis. Moreover, this is the only form of death known until the 1970s. In order to understand apoptosis better, we think it will be useful to touch on necrosis. Necrosis is a pathological death caused by irreversible damage to the cell. For example, in case of a burn, the body part that is exposed to excessive heat or cannot get enough blood flow may become necrosis and become non-living tissue. While apoptosis occurs in both disease and health, necrosis occurs only in disease. Tissue balance depends on the compatibility between cell death and remodeling. The importance of apoptosis is due to the destruction of unnecessary, damaged or harmful cells in various biological events and contributing to the continuity of the internal balance of the organism. The balance of this sensitive scale causes diseases.